Sudan, now consumed by war and on the verge of collapse, did not arrive here by chance. Its tragedy is the inevitable result of a century of exploitation and deepening contradictions. Omar al-Bashir was the man who lit the fuse. In 1989, he seized power in a military coup and held on to it for the next 30 years. Under his rule, Sudan's GDP per capita hovered around just $80, while more than half the population struggled with hunger. In 2003, Darfur exploded. Black communities, pushed to the edge by years of neglect and exploitation, took up arms, demanding autonomy, power, and a share of the country's resources. Bashir didn't negotiate. He retaliated, arming the Janjaweed, an Arab militia whose name would soon become synonymous with terror. With his backing, they burned villages, slaughtered civilians, and looted with impunity. Darfur became a wasteland, tens of thousands dead, and millions forced to flee. In 2013, Bashir rebranded the Janjaweed as the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF. On paper, they were part of Sudan's army. In reality, they operated on their own, beyond control. They built their power through gold smuggling and human trafficking. They seized Darfur's gold mines, amassed fortunes that rivaled the state itself, and armed themselves better than the army. They answered to no one. They respected no rules, and they crossed every line, military, legal, and moral. In 2019, the RSF and the army turned on him. They staged a coup, removed him from power. After 30 years of rule, the dictator finally fell, brought down by the very system he built. But Bashir's fall didn't save Sudan. On the 15th of April, 2023, the army and the RSF turned their guns on each other. The country plunged back into civil war. By October, they were fighting for the Balila oil field relentlessly. Darfur once again became the center of the nightmare. The RSF waged a campaign of revenge against non-Arab communities, groups they had long viewed as enemies. In April 2024, they moved to surround El Fasher, the army's last foothold in the west. In late October 2025, after the RSF captured El Fasher, the killings began. Within 5 days, more than 2,000 civilians were dead. At the Saudi maternity hospital, violence turned it into a slaughterhouse. More than 460 patients and family members were shot. The floors ran red with blood. Bodies lay piled in the corridors. Near El Fasher University, the horror deepened. At a displacement shelter, RSF fighters selected young women at gunpoint, as if choosing livestock. At least 25 were subjected to gang rape. Even children were not spared. In Kalogi, in West Kordofan, a drone strike hit a kindergarten. 46 children were killed on the spot. Not a single one of the 116 people present survived. Today, Sudan has become a living hell. Over 80% of medical facilities are no longer functioning. 90% of schools are closed. Nearly 17 million children are out of education. Half the population is facing acute food insecurity. There are no official death tolls. But what we do know is this: nearly 30,000 people have been killed. More than 11.8 million have been forced from their homes. Over 30 million now depend on humanitarian aid just to survive, which means nearly 60% of the country is living on the edge of survival. And perhaps the most devastating truth is this: Sudan is suffering in near silence. Journalists can't get in. Aid workers are locked out. What we know comes from fragments, satellite images, and the testimonies of survivors, piecing together the scale of the atrocities. The warnings from the United Nations, the sanctions imposed by the US, the UK, and others. On paper, they sound decisive. In reality, they are little more than words. They cannot stop the bullets aimed at civilians. They cannot save the mothers in hospital wards. They cannot protect the children in kindergartens. But this war is not just Sudan's. It is being fueled from the outside. The RSF has backing from the United Arab Emirates. The army is supported by Egypt and by Russia's Wagner Group. Driven by geopolitical interests, these external actors keep the weapons flowing to both sides, prolonging the war again and again. To them, war pays better than peace. While we complain about life, others are fighting just to stay alive. And worse, no one is even watching.